Hi guys, welcome to Brandix Reviews. Today I'm going to be doing a review of Spider-Man Homecoming on 4K Blu-ray. Now this is the second film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to get generally get a UK release on 4K Blu-ray. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is the only other film at this moment in time. You can get the Iron Man trilogy imported from Germany, but it's quite expensive as well. Although now it's last been seen on Amazon for about £45. I think that was second hand, but still, you know, it's worth checking out anyway. But Spider-Man Homecoming, unlike Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I was very impressed, extremely impressed with the 4K presentation there. Not so much with this, and I don't think it's anything to do with the technical side of things, although I do realise that there was something about that wasn't quite up to scratch. But in terms of just me being a viewer, I think it was more down to the colour palette of this film not being quite as rich in terms of its high dynamic range, which is what you got with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This was a very colourful film and had lots of contrasts between your sort of darks and your things that are illuminated, basically. Spider-Man Homecoming obviously is more grounded, it's more sort of down to earth in terms of what you see on screen. There's not a lot of things kind of flashing and lots of lit up bits. I mean, it does have its own, you know, in comparison to a lot of films, it's very bright, but the colour spectrum was quite different in this film. So it doesn't stand out as much, but it was still quite good. There were bits in this film that really stood out. The bit where Peter Parker, Spider-Man, is on a rooftop and there's a really nice sunset sort of off in the distance. That looked really nice, and it's things like that your 4K HDR really does stand out. Now, you might not know exactly what I'm talking about here, but it's worth checking out because this is something that is kind of becoming the norm, really, in terms of what's being presented on TV. Going forward, you're going to start to see a lot more of these technological aspects, and you're going to start thinking, oh, that looks really nice. Well, that's what it's all about. It's all about HDR, high dynamic range. So that's just one analysis anyway. So it's also tradition for me to talk about the extra features of these discs for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I've covered all the previous films and occasionally some TV shows as well. Just for context, let's look at this collection actually. It's getting harder to actually pick this thing up without it spilling everywhere. You can see the 16 movies and quite a few TV shows, up to about from there to there TV shows. So it's getting to be quite a collection now. So I do love it on days when new releases come out and we get to review these things. Well, I get to review these things on the channel. So let's have a look at the case anyway for this thing. It comes in a slip case, which not many of these films have done that in the past. I think the only ones that have done it before were Civil War and also Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So this comes in a slip case. And there's a reason I'm kind of showing you the packaging to this. You can see on here that's some of the itemised items of extra features, which I'm going to get into. But there's a reason I'm showing you that physically what you get with the thing, because with this it's quite interesting. As usual, you get the digital download side of things as well, which is ultraviolet technology. There's a little leaflet advertising other 4K stuff, not as interesting, but you get this little mini comic as well, which is quite unusual to get with a Marvel Cinematic Universe film. I don't think they've ever done this before. So there's nothing really much to this comic. It's only sort of about a dozen pages, and it's just Peter Parker at school, sees some stuff going on outside, runs outside, deals with it, and it's the Shocker character, and he kind of sorts him out, and that's pretty much the story anyway. And then he gets put on detention for leaving school during the middle of class as well. So that's basically what that's about. Now with this, you get two discs. You get the 4K disc, which obviously is the actual film itself, and you get the disc, which I've currently got in here, which is a supplemental Blu-ray, and that's standard. When you get 4K Blu-rays, you always get the standard Blu-ray with it as well. I think the reason for that is there might be a lot of uncertainty with people that are buying these, if this becomes this generation's Betamax or whatever it was called, high def DVD, or whatever the hell it was called about 10 years ago when they brought that out, HD DVD, yeah. A lot of people might think, well, I'm spending all this money on this, and this format might be completely useless in a few years if this doesn't take off. So they give you the Blu-ray with it as well, so obviously you've got a backup copy there anyway, so it's not a waste of money. But But with the Blu-ray, you get the extra features. You don't get the extra features on the 4K disc pretty much every time with these films. So let's go over that anyway. I have said in the past with the Blu-rays of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they've been quite disappointing in recent years. It used to be the case going back, if we go back to Phase 1 for example, let's have a quick look at, say, the first Iron Man. It was a 2-disc edition, and this is the Blu-ray, so to have 2 discs worth of stuff is quite something. And you had an absolute wealth of extra features, and it was all good stuff as well for the most part. And that carried on up till around about the time when Thor the Dark World came out and Captain America the Winter Soldier. The extra features really were lacking. You used to have these things called Marvel one-shots as well, where these were like sort of mini films that are sort of canon with the movies. They stopped doing that a few years ago, but they have done a few extra things in recent times, like music videos for Guardians of the Galaxy and a few other little things. Like with Ant-Man, you got some news reports that were WHIH news and that kind of thing. With Spider-Man Homecoming, there isn't really anything along those lines. You do get the Captain America public service announcement thingies. Well, it's not a public service announcement, but it's for school. And I'll show you what that is on here. But there's nothing really as exciting as we used to get. So let's be specific anyway. I mean, having said that, it's slightly better than it used to be. So, the Spidey study guide, that's just basically a featurette that's about 5-10 minutes long about Spider-Man, the character. There's a gag reel that's a couple of minutes long. I'm not a fan of gag reels. I tend to find them a bit fake and contrived, but I always say that. Deleted and extended scenes. There's 16 minutes worth of deleted scenes, and some of it's quite interesting as well. I'm not going to go into the specifics of it because I could spend all video doing that. You can watch them actually on YouTube. If you don't want to watch them, if you want a more of an explanation of them, there's a really good video by Flix and The City where they were talking about all these, and it does show you little snippets of them. So if you want to see if it's worth getting for that, then you can check that out there. I will say that the real treat with the extended and deleted scenes is what's called the Peter Parker's video diary. I think it was called that anyway, but it was the director's cut of that, and it's a bit extended. It shows, obviously if you've seen the film, it opens with Peter Parker doing a video diary of his experiences in Germany from Captain America Civil War. This extends that a little bit and it shows that he went out for a party afterwards on his own in his Spider-Man costume and he got up to some shenanigans. Yeah, that was pretty good to see anyway. So, we've got a thing called A Tangled Web, and I think that was more about Spider-Man basically. The character searching for Spider-Man, that's about casting of Tom Holland, and it's quite interesting because it shows how he's quite a physical actor and performer. I didn't actually realise quite how talented he is. A lot of the stuff that you see him doing in this, he's actually doing it, albeit a lot of the time he's doing it with wires. But it's really good because obviously he carries himself as Peter Parker very well. Spider-Man is a great performance there as well, but also the physical side of things, having somebody like Tom Holland as talented as he is, with kind of dancing backgrounds and a lot of his other acrobatics that he can do, is a really good pick anyway, let's just put it that way. So and that gets into that. And all these featurettes tend to be about 5-10 minutes long, which isn't much, but when you add it all up, you get about an hour's worth of extra content here, so it's not that bad. Spidey stunts, again, that's about Tom Holland. Those two kind of go hand in hand. Aftermath, that is about the clean-up operation. I didn't really get the point of that featurette, but the clean-up operation, the storyline, obviously, if you've seen this film, you know how that kind of works. The Vulture takes flight, that's all about Michael Keaton and his character of the Vulture and how they cast him and how he's like really good. John Watts, head of the class, that's about the director himself, and it talks about how he went through the process in making this film and what he was aiming for, that kind of thing. Pros and cons of Spider-Man, that was quite interesting. You've got Tom Holland and the other guy, I can't remember the actor's name, but the guy who plays his best mate in the film, they're kind of talking hypothetically about what it would be like to be Spider-Man, what would be good and bad about it. For example, some of the cons would be you can't tell anybody that you are Spider-Man. And also he talks about some of the things like the chafing they experienced when he was wearing the costume in the film. It was quite interesting to see, quite funny anyway. Wrapping with Cap, that was quite a good one. This is kind of this film's equivalent of the Marvel one-shots, basically. And this is just footage that they didn't use in the film, where you've got Captain America doing the public service announcements for school, anyway. And it shows a load of them. And there's not that much of it, maybe a few minutes, that's all. But it's still worth a watch, anyway. And then there's a photo gallery, I didn't even bother checking that out. And then there's some trailers for, well, computer games and stuff like that. I'm not really interested in that. And that's it, pretty much. So those are the extra features. So what do I think? Pretty satisfied with this anyway, like I say. We've had worse in terms of extra features. So I'd say middle of the road anyway. So it's tradition anyway at Brandix Reviews, whenever I review these things, to get into the future of the MCU and what's coming up. I don't really have much to say now because I did a video 2 months ago when I reviewed the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and nothing much has changed since then, so you can go and check that out. Obviously, we've got Black Panther coming up very soon. That looks really good. I'm really looking forward to that. And then there's Infinity War as well, so that should be great. Now, in terms of the TV series side of things, obviously we've got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Series 5 coming up. Series 4 will be getting a home video release fairly soon. Inhumans, I haven't even bothered watching it, and I don't think I'm going to. That doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned. The Netflix side of things, we've got Luke Cage coming out on Blu-ray next week in the UK. I imagine there won't be any extra features on that because they don't tend to include them on the Netflix series. But at least we're getting them on home video release, which is good. It's a shame it takes a year for these things to come out, but that's the nature of things with Netflix, so I understand that, that's fine. Punisher Series 1 dropped a few days ago. It's been absolutely amazing. I'm only 6 episodes in, to be honest, but it's really good, and I'd say The Punisher is the best of the Netflix series so far, and that's quite a high standard as well, so I definitely recommend you check that out if you haven't seen it yet. I still need to finish watching it myself. So I'll pretty much leave it there anyway. I don't have much else to say, so again, check back on the channel every time a film comes out in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, even if it's at the cinema or just on home video. I usually do a video about it, so if you want to subscribe to us, you can do. For now, I'll just leave there and say thank you very much for watching. When I first started doing these reviews, oh god, I dropped them everywhere. Bollocks. One for the outtakes.